talk about something cultural for a second. You've just seen The Apprentice.
Yes, loved it. Absolutely loved it.
I really need to go see that. Now, it's actually people don't like it because it's not a complete takedown of Trump.
No, but this is what's so brilliant about it. I mean, for a start, the performances are marvelous. So that's what's good about it. I mean, Trump is doing despicable things all the way through this film. And yet, you never lose sight of his sort of charm and winnability, as it were, which is the reason he gets away with it. I mean, it's one of those things that sometimes happens, I think, in journalism and biographies, is that if you depict somebody as remorselessly horrible, it's not realistic, because then they would never have got away with these things if they were as morally, if they had sort of come across as morally reprehensible and disgusting as they actually are on the outside. So, I mean, that part of it is really good. I mean, Trump is despicable and you're frightened of him by the end, but he's still really charming. And of course, Jeremy Strong's Roy Cohn is a masterpiece. I mean, I've written about him in my, Substack post, but I mean, he has this kind of this lozenge-shaped head and upside-down eyes. I mean, I just don't know how he gets it. I mean, it's a different face, and you first glimpse him sort of gazing hypnotically at the young Trump, who's at that point nobody at all. He's Fred's kid, as Roy Cohn refers to him, sort of hanging around at the bar of this club where Roy is sitting there surrounded by his mob connections, the king of the club, as it were. And he sends his minion over there to tell him to join the table, which sort of begins this mentorship, if you like, of Cohn to Trump, who and he teaches him these hideous maxims, which we see played out every single day thereafter, which is, attack, 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 never admit defeat, never say you're wrong, all of the things that we see in Trump. And that was the Roy Cohn law, Lore, that, that he lived by and it all his life. So I found that extremely well done. And in the end, even though in a sense, Cohn is the Prince of Darkness, probably the ultimate, one of the most evil men of the century. But you actually feel
still in control of our culture.
And still in control of our culture. But actually, he is the end. He's more human than Trump. I mean, he actually had feelings for Trump. And Trump just kicks him to the curb, when he has AIDS. He's disgusted by Roy Cohn and has no use for him because he realizes that the Cohn's fading and that's it, hands washed. It's like it's the end of things with Cohn. Cohn comes to him and says, like, I want to put my, it was his boyfriend that he had who had developed AIDS first. He said, I'd love to put him into one of your hotels because I need, he needs support all the time. He needs help. And Trump just sort of agrees, but then he sends him the bill. Oh. And I'm told that, that was one of the things that hurt Cohn more than any single thing that Trump had done. And there's undoubtedly a homoerotic sort of undertone to the Cohn interest in the young Trump. And in fact, Gabe Sherman, who wrote it, brilliantly done, I think, said that, he knows somebody who bought the Cohn archives and had personal archives and had a chance to kind of go through everything. And there were lots of sort of homoerotic pictures of young, blonde, blue-eyed young men who all were like Trump, essentially. I mean, Trump was definitely his type. So he was obviously slightly in love with Trump. It's very interesting and complex and makes you think about it.
I've long wanted, I think Cohn is an absolutely fascinating character. And I mean that, and I have yet to see a depiction of him which kind of helps me understand how this person became the way he became.
I think his father was a corrupt judge, right? And that he used to have the 11-year-old Cohn sit at the table as he was taking bribes and discussing bribes with local politicians. He involved Cohn right from the very early age, almost in his own apprenticeship with corruption, essentially. So there was something very warped there in his upbringing, as there was with Trump. I mean, Fred Trump in the film is so well depicted. I mean, he's such a horrible bully. And I mean, a true racist. I mean, an attender of Ku Klux Klan rallies, a supporter of the Bund, it really was a deeply, in a sense, dark figure, Fred Trump. And I think that just as Roy Cohn's father sort of maimed his moral character, I think it was the same with Fred Trump and Donald.
The thing about Donald Trump, that most just leaves me stunned, really, is his delight in cruelty. When you see someone weak or defenseless, someone dying of a disease, that is when most human beings see the humanity and have some ability. He doesn't not just see the humanity, he feels disgusted by it.
He does. He does. That's when he moves in for the kill, actually, when he sees that weakness. And he's taught the same thing to his kids. I mean, Donald Trump Jr. is the same. I mean, when that comment that I quote in my piece about in the Times about the Waltz's boy who had special needs, etc. Donald Trump Jr. when Fetterman had a stroke, and then won, he said, well, Pennsylvania's elected a vegetable now. Maybe he'll get a job bagging groceries, like those people who bag groceries. And you just think, you are such an asshole. You are such a cruel.
It's pagan.
It's pagan, yeah.
It's truly pre-Christian,
It is.
which is why I am still completely aghast at the religious right's embrace of this evil person. Because I don't know of anyone who represents the unraveling of Christianity and the dismantling of Christian values than Trump. And the worship of the powerful is just it's and parts of the right now, like segments of the right. I'm mainly online in many ways, but I follow all this stuff. It really is disgusting. It's pagan. It's anti-Christian. It's a belief in basically the strong will inherit the earth.